Hello, I'm Melissa Krakowski-Shippey, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cool beaded ring project that I call Paradise Ring. The Paradise Ring has several parts to it. I'm going to break down into individual demonstrations for you. There's the crystal array, which I consider this half of the ring up here, and then there's the ring band. The crystal array consists of a base on the underside here made of right angle weave units, netting on the sides to hold the crystals, and then the crystals themselves. Needle up about 1 yard of thread, and I like to use nylon thread for this, but I'm sure you could use fishing line thread if that's your preference. I would just go a little easy on the tension at first. So pick up 6 15-ohs, bring them down on your needle. Toward the end of your thread, leave just enough thread to weave into the beadwork later and secure and trim. Stitch through all the beads again to form a loop. Then stitch through the first 3 beads again. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. So you have your loop of beads, and your needle thread and your tail thread are sort of opposite each other. This is your first right angle weave unit. You're going to need 6 of these. So to build off of this, pick up 5 15-ohs and stitch through the 15-oh that your thread is coming out of again in a circular fashion. Then stitch through the next 3 15-ohs in that loop you just formed. So this is the second right angle weave or raw unit. And you're getting in place to start the next one. To do the third, it's the same thing. Pick up 5 15-ohs and stitch through that same 15-oh that your thread is coming out of again. Then stitch through the next 3 15-ohs in that loop you just formed. And then continue in this manner till you have 3 more right angle weave units for a total of 6. After finishing up the 6th raw unit and stitching through the first 3 15-ohs in that unit, pick up 1 11A and stitch through the next 2 15-ohs in that unit. Then pick up an 11A and stitch through the 2 15-ohs in the next unit that are on the same side as the ones your thread is coming out of. So you're sort of peyote stitching the 11A's between the units. Pick up another 11A and stitch through the 2 15-ohs on the same side of the next unit. And do that 3 more times. Once you've done that, you have 6 11As on there. Pick up an 11A and stitch through the very next 15O in that unit on the end. This was your first raw unit. Then pick up another 11A and stitch through the next 2 15Os in that same unit. So now you're heading back in the opposite direction. And I'm just going to turn my beadwork around. Since I'm right-handed, it's easier for me to work this way. And then repeat what you did on the first side, where you pick up an 11A and stitch through the next 2 15Os, or the 2 15Os in the next unit on the same side that you're working on. Pull tight as you do this to snap those 11As into place. When you've stitched through the 2 15Os on the last unit, you still have to add one more 11A. So you pick up an 11A and stitch through the next single 15O, and then you'll step up through the first 11A added. Pick up 3 11As and stitch through the next 11A along the edge of the raw strip. Then pick up 4 11As and stitch through the next 11A along the edge of the raw strip. Then pick up 5 11As and stitch through the next 11A along the edge of the raw strip. Pick up 5 11As again and stitch through the next 11A on the edge of the raw strip. Pick up 4 11As and stitch through the next 11A on the edge of the raw strip. Then pick up 3 11As and stitch through the next 11A on the edge of the raw strip. So that was your first layer of netting, or netting on the first side of the raw strip. The nets are going to sit kind of funny because they're kind of scrunched together. There's not a lot of room. Later, this raw strip's going to curve, and that's going to give the nets more room. Now you're on the end of the raw strip. You're going to pick up 2 11As and stitch through the next 11A. And then repeat that same addition of those nets, of the groups of netting. So the first one is 3 11As. The second one is 4 11As. The third one is 5 11As. The fourth one is 5 11As. The fifth one is 4 11As. And the sixth one is 3 11As. Oops, I got 4 in there by accident. No, there's just 3. Then once you get to that edge, or that end of the strip, pull this tight, pick up 2 11As and stitch through the next 11A Then step up through the first two 11As added in that first group of 3. Now pick up one of the 8x4mm crystals, and I'm going to pick it up by stitching through the set of holes that's going to make it sit like kind of upside down as it's to the outside of this beadwork. Stitch through the second of the 4 11As in the next group of 4. Make sure you're correctly identifying which of these 11As is included in the group of 4. You can move them around with your needle to make sure you can tell. The second one, I can tell it's this one here. Just pull that tight, make sure your thread's not caught on anything. And ideally you want your stone to be oriented so it's going to, when it goes over toward the middle of the strip, it's going to be face up. Pick up a 10x5mm crystal through the set of holes, the same set of holes, like the corresponding set of holes to what you picked up when you picked up the 8x4mm crystal. So it's going to be oriented the same. Now look for the middle 11A in the next group of 5. So that's these here. Stitch through the middle one of those. Then pick up the 15x7mm crystal. Again, through the same set of holes, same orientation. And find the middle 11A in the next group of 5. Sometimes you have to bend the strip around to really be able to see these groups. There's the middle one there. Then pick up the other 10x5mm crystal, stitching through that same corresponding set of holes, and stitch through the third 11A in the next group of 4. The third from like where your thread is, counting in that direction. 1, 2, 3. Then pick up the final 8x4mm crystal, stitching through the same set of holes as before, and stitch through the middle 11A in that group of 3. That last netting group. Okay, make sure your thread is tight, make sure it's not caught around anything. Then pick up an 11A and stitch all the way over through the middle 11A in the group of 3 opposite the one you just stitched through. It's a large gap, yes, but it's going to pull this beadwork together. And make sure your thread goes to the top, to the front of the beadwork, the same side that the crystals are on. Now for this next part, we'll be stitching through the second set of holes on each of these crystals in their settings. So stitch through the second set of holes of the 8x4mm crystal. Whoops. Okay, so that loosened up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my working thread to pull that crystal tight, then pull my working thread from my needle side. Okay, then stitch through the second 11A in the next group of 4 on this edge of the raw strip, then stitch through the second set of holes of the 10x5mm crystal, then stitch through the middle 11A in the next group of 5. Make sure that thread doesn't get caught around anything as you pull tight. Then stitch through the second set of holes of the 15x7mm crystal. then stitch through the middle 11A in the next group of 5. Then stitch through the second set of holes of the next 10 by 5 millimeter crystal. And stitch through the third 11A in the next group of 4. Stitch through the second set of holes in that last 8 by 4 millimeter crystal. Stitch through the middle 11A in that group of 3, the next group of 3. Pull that tight, make sure there's no threads caught on anything. Then pick up an 11A and stitch through the middle 11A in that first group of 3 again. All right, so your crystals are now attached to your netting and the crystal array is complete. Just retrace the thread path down, around, and back again. So there's a second pass of thread through all of those settings and the beads that connect them. After retracing the thread path all around, after your thread's coming out of the middle 11A in a group of 3, stitch down through the next 11A in that group of 3, then through the next 11A between the 15-O's and that end raw unit, and then through the 2 11A's that are on the very end of the crystal array. And this is where you'll start your ring band. So you're going to pick up 2 11A's to start, then you're going to pick up enough 11B's required for your ring size. There is a table on page 9 of the directions, and I'll just say that if you're a ring size 4.75, you're going to need 13 11B's for each one ring size up, like 5.75, you're going to need 16 11B's, and this is just how the sizing worked out. I didn't intentionally try to do quarter sizes, but pick the ring size that's closest to yours and pick up that number of beads. Each incremental size that goes up 1, like 4.75 to 5.75, you add 3 11B's, so that's how you can figure it out for yourself if you don't have the directions. So for myself, I'm going to pick up 16 11B's. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Once you've picked up the required number of 11B's, which are a silver lined bead, pick up 2 more 11A's. I use silver lined beads in the ring band because they tend to keep their color longer because they're not plated. The gold plated or palladium plated beads I like to use, the finish will rub off, especially on the underside of your finger. They'll rub off over time, and these silver lined beads will keep their color longer. All right, so once you've picked up the required number of 11B's and the 11A's on each side, stitch through the 11A's on the opposite end of the crystal array. Once you've stitched through those 2 11A's, pick up 2 11A's and stitch through the first 11B, working back toward the other side. So this starts peyote stitch. It's not single drop peyote that stitch though, it's peyote stitch where you pick up 2 beads and go through 1. So from here, pick up 2 11B's, skip the next 2 11B's and stitch through the one after that. Repeat that all the way down the group of 11B's that you picked up. Working to the opposite side. If you aren't sure of your ring size, after this step is a good time to test and see if the ring will fit you. And it's easy to take off and redo at this point if it doesn't end up working out. All right, after stitching through the last 11B in that group of 11Bs you picked up, pick up 2 more 11As and stitch through the pair of 11As on the end of the crystal array. So stitch into the side that doesn't already have 11As attached to it. At this point you can try to slide the ring over whatever finger you want to wear it on and see if it fits. I made this a little small because I was thinking of my daughters. It won't actually fit on my ring finger, but I've made a bunch of these, so this one can be for them. All right, once you've gone through those 2 11As on the end, step up through the first 2 11As added, so you're heading in the opposite direction now. And then pick up an 11B and stitch through the next pair of 11Bs on this side of the band. Just repeat this till you get to the other end of the ring band. At any point you're comfortable, also you can weave in, secure, and trim that tail thread to get it out of the way. All right, at the end, you'll be stitching through a pair of 11As to add that last 11B, then stitch through the pair of 11As on the end of the crystal array again, and then stitch through the next pair of 11As. So you've kind of turned around and you're heading back toward the beginning. And then do the same thing on this side of the band. Pick up an 11A and stitch through the next pair of 11As. All right, and the last one you'll be stitching through 11As and stitch through the pair of 11As on the end of the crystal array, stitch back through, or stitch through the next pair of 11As, and then that'll put you in place to just retrace your thread path down and back up the ring band to reinforce it at least once. Then you can weave in, secure, and trim your thread, and your paradise ring is complete.